Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to discuss about chapter number 18, the questions that were there pending for the chapter number 18. It will serve a quick revision sort of thing for us. And then we will, solve some more questions on paper 3 so that, we can have a good understanding on the topic. Okay. So let's start with some of the questions and then we will see, okay, along with the questions, we will do a revision of the topic also. So the first question that I want to discuss for today, and I want everyone to participate in the session. Okay, I want answers from everyone. I hope you guys have already revised the chapter. You have gone through the study material, and now we will be solving questions on that. Okay. So basically, the question is the landscape of the environmental, social, and governance reporting. Okay, and the considerations have evolved significantly in India over the past decade. Discuss the evaluation, highlighting key regulatory developments, roles of the Security and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, and the broader impact on the corporate practice and investor behavior in the Indian context. So, what you need to talk about basically over here is the highlighting the key regulatory development that have happened till now. Okay. So you need to talk about key regulatory development. Can anyone tell me what are the key regulatory development in the ESG environment or ESG reporting part? Quickly, key regulatory development that have been for the ESG part. Anyone? So what has happened till now in ESG reporting? Come on, guys, quickly. No? Okay, no issues. So I'll tell you. But see, the most and for important critical thing is just to understand that what we have discussed in the last session. It's just a quick recap of that only. So if the answer of this question will summarize what we have discussed in the last session. Okay. So till now, what has happened in the ESG context? Basically, it started from 2011. Okay, where ESG voluntary guidelines were there. Remember, voluntary corporate social responsibility initiatives were there. The guidelines which came in 2011, National Voluntary Guidelines. Okay, that were there in 2011. Remember, after that, in 2013, okay, so from there was in 2013, and in 2013 there was CSR under Companies Act. Post that, there was a lot of things which were introduced. For example, in between in 2012 itself, okay, in between in 2012 itself, BRR reporting came into picture. I'll just pull this down. In 2012, BRR reporting came into picture. That is business responsibility reporting that was there for top listed 100 entities. Top listed 100 entities. For them, BRR reporting was introduced. Okay. Then, a lot of initiatives were taken here after 13 in 2019. These guidelines were made mandatory, in form of different reporting. And then in 2022, these particular, BRSR in 2021, basically, the guidelines and BRR was converted into BRSR reporting. So from 13 to 21, then we came with BRSR reporting. Yes or no? Now in 2023, SEBI introduced BRSR core. that is ESG disclosures and assurance requirement for top 250 listed entities in 2023 itself. Okay. So these were certain changes which has happened in the ESG reporting environment or reporting landscape. Okay. Okay. Any doubt till now? Any doubt, guys? Any doubt with respect to this part? Any doubt? No? Okay. No issues. Now, these were the initiatives that were there with respect to the ESG landscape. Okay. The ESG reporting landscape. Now, if I ask you, what are the initiatives that were taken with respect to assurance side or initiatives taken by the ICAI till now? Can anyone tell me about the initiatives that were taken by the ICAI on the assurance, ESG assurance side? So basically, the question is that ICAI has taken several initiatives to promote ESG principles and practice among its members and the wider corporate landscape. Discuss these initiatives in detail, highlight their impact on the role of CA can play in furthering the ESG integration in India. So, what are the initiatives that have been taken by the ICAI in this regards? That we have already discussed. Come on, guys. Anyone? Initiatives taken by ICAI with respect to ESG part. Simple. Come on, quickly. No? Okay. No issues. So basically, when it comes to the initiatives, there are multiple initiatives that have been taken till now. Okay, it's not only one, but there are multiple initiatives. Okay, and we will discuss those initiatives right now. Basically, when it comes to the initiatives, it start with with respect to training programs, guidance note publications. So, see, as the ESG reporting was increasing, as the requirement was going under change, ESG reporting requirement, there was a need for assurance on that lines. Okay, there was a need required that okay, there should be appropriate assurance supportings on that line, and that's why there were multiple initiatives that were taken by the ICI. In 2020, basically, okay, in 2020, basically, Feb 2020, ICI came up with ICI constituted a SRSB, that is the Sustainability Reporting Standard Board. Okay, SRSB, Sustainability Reporting Standard Board, with a mission to increase awareness and implementation of the business conduct, developing audit guidance on ESG part. And in those 2 years since 2020 to 2023, and then from 2023 till today, there are multiple initiatives that have been taken. For example, there were training programs. Then there were standards which were issued. For example, we discussed about SAE 3410, that is assurance engagement on greenhouse gas statements. There was a background material on BRSR reporting. There were, materials on sustainable development goals. So there was a sustainability reporting maturity model version 2. Remember, we saw sustainable reporting maturity model version 2. There were FAQs on sustainability reporting. Then there was one more standard which was issued, that was SAE 3000. Remember that we discussed that was in line with ISAE 3000. Yes or no? So these were certain initiatives which are already taken by the institute on ESG front. Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Yes, no? No? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, let's proceed to the next question. Okay. So the next question basically discuss about the BRSR reporting. Now, as we know that there are certain principles in the BRSR. So the next question is on those principles. So the next question is, the BRSR reporting framework mandates that the company adhere to the 9 core principles while conducting their business. Explain these 9 principles in detail, highlighting their significance in promoting responsible business practice and sustainable development. So can anyone tell me those 9 principles quickly? The 9 principles which are there in the BRSR reporting, or BRSR core 9 principles which are required to be followed by business while conducting their business. Anyone? Okay. So basically, no issues. I'll tell and discuss the 9 principles which are there for the BRSR reporting. Okay, very important 9 principles. Now, the BRSR reportings, or you can say the business conduct, these are the core 9 principles based on which the businesses are required to conduct their activities. Okay, and we will see this from the study material itself, those 9 principles. So everyone, please come on page number 18.18. Okay, page number 18.18. Over there, we have 7.11, which talks about the 9 principles. And we will go through those 9 principles again. It will serve a quick revision also, and we will be understanding those 9 principles. So the first principle is ethics, transparency, and accountability. With respect to this particular principle, okay, with respect to this core element, the businesses are required to report about, okay, what practices they are following with respect to ethics, transparency, and accountability. Okay, entities are required to develop policies, they are required to develop practices, procedures, and then which promotes the transparent disclosure under this particular requirement. Okay, so entities are required to proactively adopt the policies, procedures, practice which can promote ethics, transparency, and accountability with respect to their operating activities or their business conduct. Okay. Second is safeguard and sustainable goods and services. So the principle lays that, okay, the entity should design the product or design the services in such a way that it is sustainable and safe for the consumers and for the society at large. Okay, so that it can consume minimum resources and can achieve those products or service at the optimum level. That is the principle to safe and sustainable goods and services, to reduce over exploitation of natural resource and to promote optimum utilization. The third principle is promote the well-being of all employees, including those in value chain. Okay, so it talks more on the employee and human capital. Remember, six capital we saw, one of capital that was human capital. Now over here, the third principle talks about that business should adhere to the principle of promotion of well-being of all employees, dignity of employees, providing appropriate work environment, environmental safety, work-life balance, and timely payments as per the minimum wages requirement, complying with laws and regulations, specifically labor laws and regulations, not exploiting the human resource, providing safe environment to human resource. So all those things, focusing on the skill development. So all those things are required to be adopted by the business. The fourth principle, respect stakeholder interest and responsiveness. This principle basically talks about, okay, you need to understand and take in consideration the interest of various stakeholders, and you need to act accordingly. So to be transparent, to communicate to your stakeholders about the impact of your business operations, and to be, proactive in approaching them with respect to the communication when it comes about your business. Fifth is respect and promote human rights. So basically, it is behind the human rights that business should have the understanding of the human rights. They should promote the human rights, and their policies, their procedures should be designed in such a way that it should promote human rights and integrate the human rights with the employee welfare. Six is the protection and restoration of environment. Basically, this principle talks about entities to have policies, procedures, practice in place to assess, rectify the impact to the environment. Okay, the entities are required to make use of such natural resources, their resources, whatever raw materials they have, in an optimum manner to reduce the wastage and to make better use of the resources. Then you have influence on the public and regulatory policy. That's the principle number 7, which talks about more on the influence that the business leaves behind the society. Okay, how business contributes in the society, collective efforts, sometimes groups, communities, all that stuff. Principle number 8 is promote inclusive growth and equitable development. So this is more onto development side, that how the business or the entities are taking their actions to promote growth and development within the society. And principle number 9 is providing value to the consumers in the responsible manner. Again, when we are saying responsible manner, means avoid negative effect, avoid wastage of resources, providing transparent and appropriate communication, timely disclosure, so all that stuff. So these are the 9 principles that businesses are required to follow in their business activities. Clear with this? Any doubt till now? Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then let's proceed to our next question. Basically, our next question is, onto the lines with respect to your capitals, integrated reporting, and the 6 capitals that were there. Okay. Can anyone tell me quickly which were those 6 capitals which were part of your integrated reporting? Integrated reporting talked about 6 different type of capitals. Can anyone tell me about those 6 different type of capitals? Quickly. Which are those 6 different type of capitals that are discussed under integrated reporting? Anyone? No? Okay. So under integrated reporting, the different 6 type of capitals are finance capital, manufactured capital, natural capital, human capital, social capital, and intellectual capital. Okay, so these were the 6 capitals which are part of your integrated reporting. Yes or no? Any doubt till now with respect to any of the part? Yes, no? Okay, no issues. So, that was with respect to the 6C or integrated reporting 6 capitals. Okay. Now, let's talk about basically uh, the human capital part of the 6Cs. Okay. Can anyone explain what is the human capital when it comes to the integrated reporting? Pretty easy. Trust me, it is pretty easy. Human capital with respect to integrated reporting. Anyone? No? Okay. So I'll tell you. So when it comes to human capital with respect to integrated reporting, it talks about people's skill, experience, their capacity, their motivation to innovate. It more talks about human resources, alignment of the organization's governance framework with respect to the human resource. So, how an organization can utilize the human resource to achieve its strategy, to achieve its vision or mission? How the organization can, promote, develop, use the human capital. That is the human capital part of the integrated reporting. Clear with this? Okay. Any doubt till now? Any doubt?
So first is social, then human, then manufactured, intellectual,
Yeah.
natural, and financial.
Very good. Yes. So these are the 6 capital of integrated reporting. Very good. Any doubt anyone has? No? Okay. So we did a good amount of questions on chapter number 18. Any doubt you guys have with respect to chapter number 18? Very important reason, because see, I want you guys to ask as much doubts as possible, because that will definitely enhance your understanding about the chapter. If you guys have any doubt. No? No doubts? Okay. If no further doubts, what I'll do is the next that we planned for today was some further questions on different topic. Okay. So that you guys can get an understanding of how, to answer the question, and it will again serve as a quick revision of the other topics also. Clear? So let's see some of the questions, other questions that are there. Just give me a minute. I think it's stuck. I think there's some issue. It is stuck. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Okay. So we will discuss multiple questions with respect to auditing standards, with respect to other areas. And then, I would expect answer from you guys. So you can say this is kind of a practical case scenario that we are going to discuss. Okay. Okay. So the question is basically on your screen, which is Medicare Hospital Group, MHD, is a multi-specialty hospital chain in South India established 2 decades ago. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Known for the quality healthcare service, MHD operates in 10 hospitals in major cities with specialized department and advanced medical technology. For the financial year ending 31st March 2024, you are the audit partner for the MHD statutory audit. The audit team has raised significant matters requiring your judgment as per the relevant standards on auditing. Despite historical growth, MSG faces challenges for rising operational costs, regulatory changes, and increased competitions. Revenue growth continues, but the profitability margins are under pressure. Okay. The audit team has highlighted the following concerns. The first one is with respect to MSG acquired CityCare 3 years ago, attributing significant goodwill. Due to integration delays, physical attrition, and competition, CityCare has underperformed with a low occupancy and profitability. Management plans strategic initiatives like rebranding and upgrades, but has not yet conducted formal goodwill impairment review as required. Concerns over patients' data privacy has emerged, with MSG receiving a regulatory notice to review its data protection policies. Allegations of inadequate safeguards and potential breaches were highlighted in the regulatory notice, which could lead to penalties and necessary IT upgrades. Management believes the accusations are baseless, citing strong security measures and cooperation with the authorities. No financial impact or contingent liability were disclosed here. Then, management emphasizes ongoing expansion, including a new flagship hospital and advanced medical technologies. Although focusing on growth, they did not address challenges and CityCare or regulatory scrutiny on data privacy in their annual report or investor call. Investor communication highlighted future potential with no discussion on the current operational risk. Analysis of quarterly revenue trends reveal an unusual 35% increase in the fourth quarter revenue from Jan to March 2024, surpassing average growth from the previous quarter. However, no corresponding rise in patients' footfall, bed occupancy rates, or new services found to be justified this surge. Data analytics show that high-value surgical procedures and specialized treatments were billed more frequently in March 2024, especially in underperforming city hospitals. The audit team noted unusual billing patterns including expedite cycles, reduced documentation for these procedures. An anonymous whistleblower email from the billing department employee alleged that staff were instructed to inflate bills and prematurely recognize revenue to meet year-end target. Further investigation into the MSG's loan portfolio revealed a pattern of loan disbursement and repayment that raises suspicions of evergreening. Specifically for several large working capital loans nearly their repayment deadlines during the year. MSG provided new equally sized or larger loans to the same person shortly before or after the original loan maturity dates. Now, the first question, evaluate whether the potential impairment of the goodwill and regulatory issues about the patient data privacy and clinical standard would modify the auditor's opinion on MSG's financial statement under SS 705. So before going to the particular question, what I will do is I'll give you guys 5 minutes to read the question again. Okay, take 5 minutes, read the question again, and then we will go to the solving that particular detail one by one questions which are given below. Okay, take 5 minutes to read the question. So focus on the question, each and every detail. Sorry, it's somehow closed. Just give me a minute. Somehow closed. Just a minute. Okay, it's back on screen. Okay, so focus on each and every detail of the question and then try to answer. Okay. Focus on what is asked. Like, what details are given in the question. You guys now read the question, the detailed information which is given. Okay. Now let's go below and try to discuss one by one each. Evaluate whether the potential impairment of the goodwill and regulatory issues about the patient and data privacy clinical standard would modify the auditor's opinion on MHD financial statement under SS 705. What do you think? The potential impairment of goodwill and regulatory issues requires a modification? Yes or no? So, whether the regulatory notice and significant goodwill impairment requires a modification? What do you say? Yes or no? Whether it requires a modification? No? Yes? Anyone? Okay. C. Okay, tell me which is the essay which talks about modifying the audit opinion? Which is the essay which talks about modifying the audit opinion? Essay 705? Yes or no? Essay 705 talks about modification of audit opinion. Now, second thing is that Essay 705 talks about modification. So there are few types of modification which are there. under SA705. Which are those type of modifications? Can anyone tell me? The type of modifications which are given under SA705. So one is qualified, second one is adverse, and the third is disclaimer of opinion. Yes or no? These are the three types of modifications which are given. Do you agree with this? Yes, no, anyone? Okay. So if you guys agree with these modifications or the type of modified opinions, then you might be aware that there are certain conditions which are required to be fulfilled if I have to choose adverse opinion. I cannot say it's adverse opinion without looking those conditions, without looking certain things. Can anyone tell me what are those things when it comes to the adverse opinion? When it comes to the adverse opinion, I have to look into certain things. Sorry, your voice is breaking. Can you repeat your answer again?
So when the impact is positive, then you have to provide the adverse opinion.
Okay. Yes. Anyone else? With another answer or some different answer? Anyone? What are the requirements with respect to the qualified or adverse opinion? Okay. No issues. Basically, when it comes to the qualified and adverse opinion, if I have to give qualified opinion as an auditor, I should have sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to demonstrate that there is a misstatement individually or in aggregate, which is material. So for qualified opinion, I must disclose, I must demonstrate material misstatement. For adverse opinion, I must demonstrate material and pervasive misstatement. Now, can anyone tell me what is pervasiveness? Can anyone explain what is pervasiveness when it comes to the SA705 or adverse opinion? Anyone?
So pervasiveness means the impact is very high on the financial statement. If it has not been qualified, then the science of the financial statements is not on the true sense.
Okay. Okay. Oh. Anyone else with different answer or something to add? With different answer or something to add? No? Okay. So basically, when I talk about pervasiveness as per SA 705, okay, what it says, there is a definition given of the pervasiveness. Okay, so the term pervasive when it is used in the context of a misstatement, okay, to describe the misstatement, it talks about the effects of those misstatement on the financial statement. Okay, the effect is such that it is not either limited to one particular element, or if it is limited to a one particular element, then that element is representing a substantial portion, or if it is related to disclosures, then such disclosures are fundamental to the user understanding. If any of the three, if any one out of the three is present, I can say the effect of that misstatement is pervasive. That means the effect is either not confined to specific elements. If confined to specific elements, then that specific element represents the substantial portion of the financial statement, or it is related to the disclosure of the financial statement, which is fundamental to the user understanding. Then, if I say the effect of the misstatement is material and pervasive, I will issue adverse opinion. So, based on that, okay, based on that, if I conclude that the effect of the goodwill impairment and the allegations or the regulatory notice is material and pervasive, then in that case, I will issue an adverse opinion. Yes or no? Do you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to this part? Any doubt? Okay, no issues. Now, let's move to the question number 2. Okay, let's move to the question number 2. Basically, our second question is on consideration of the EOM paragraph. Okay, now the question is, considering the management's commentary, which emphasized the positive expansion plan, while minimizing the challenges concerning city care, regulatory scrutiny, and potential revenue inflation, assess whether the inclusion of EOM paragraph, that's the emphasis of matter paragraph, in the auditor's report is warranted. So based on the explanation that is given by the management, even in the investors call, that they did not disclose about the challenges, but they only focused about the growth. They did not discuss about the current operational risk. They only communicated, highlighted future potential growth. Do you think reporting of EOM paragraph is necessary for the your regulatory or significant goodwill area?
Yes, sir, it is necessary.
Okay. Anyone else would like to answer this? What do you think? So we received one answer, which is necessary, which is required. Anyone else with a different answer? Okay. No issues. So, can anyone tell me before we go and we decide whether it is necessary or not? Can we first discuss the requirement of EOM paragraph? So, which essay talks about the reporting on EOM paragraph? Anyone?
SA 706.
Okay. And when you are required to report matter in EOM paragraph?
When there is a statutory obligation to report.
Okay. Anyone else with any other answer? No? Okay. See, EOM paragraph basically is a paragraph that is included in the auditor's report. Okay. When auditor want to refer to a matter that is appropriately presented or disclosed in the financial statement. So the first and foremost condition for EOM paragraph is that the matter should be appropriately reported or presented or disclosed in the financial statement. And the second condition is that matter should be of such importance that it should be fundamental to the user understanding of the financial statement. Okay. First is that matter should be appropriately disclosed. Second, the matter should be fundamental to the user understanding of the financial statement. In the current scenario, neither the matter is reported in the financial statement appropriately. That's why in the question number 1, we decided that we will qualify or issue adverse report. Second, fundamental to the user understanding, but it is in connection with the reported matters. As this is not a reported matter, there should not be a EOM paragraph to highlight these things. Rather, there should be an adverse opinion or qualified opinion based on the misstatement identified or the pervasiveness of those misstatements.
सर OM पे आ सकता है इस केस में?
No. Basically, OM para is for the matters other than those which are presented or disclosed in the financial statement, but it relates to the auditor's judgment, auditor's responsibility, or audit report. Now, significant goodwill or regulatory notice, it has nothing to do with the auditor's judgment, auditor's responsibility, or auditor's report. That's why I will not report under the other matter paragraph. Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Very important part, that is, I should not be using EOM where there is a qualification. For that matter, basically.
And sir, statutory obligation also फिर कौन से पैरा में आएगा?
Statutory obligation. See, statutory obligation, as in, can you give some example, like which statutory obligation you are referring to?
लाइक कारो वाले तो कारो वाले पैराग्राफ में चल जाएंगे रिपोर्ट के अंदर. अदर देन कारो से जो भी होंगे वो कौन से रिपोर्ट में आएंगे?
See, Caro reporting is separate. There is a separate reporting for 143.3 matters or Rule 11 matters. But EOM paragraph and other matter paragraph are altogether different. They have no linkage with the Caro or you can say 143.3 matters. Those are separate. Those will be reported separately. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Any doubt? See, it's very crucial to understand that when we have to report and when we don't have to. Okay, when we have to include the EOM paragraph, when we have to include OM paragraph, when we have to provide the qualification. Okay. If that is clear, then let's move to the next question that we have from this particular case study. Now, the next question basically will deal upon uh, the requirement of loans. So, first, I would suggest you to read these two bullet points which are there in the end. Take 5 minutes, read these two bullet points, the second, the last two bullet points, and then we will proceed to the questions. So, I'll give you 5 minutes, read, and then we'll proceed. Focus on each and every detail which is given in the question. Okay. So, focus on those details, every detail, and then on the basis of that, okay, we will discuss. Okay, I hope you read the question. Yes or no? Oh, you read the. I hope you read those two bullet points. Okay, now let's go to the question. The question is based on the facts concerning the unusual pattern of the loan disbursement and repayments. Describe the reporting requirement of the auditor in this scenario. Can anyone tell me the reporting requirement that auditor has in this scenario with respect to loans? What is the reporting requirement and where? Come on, guys. You can say that, okay, there is no reporting requirement if you don't identify any, like if you think there is no reporting requirement. And if you think there is a reporting requirement, then which is that reporting requirement? Come on. So, what do you think? Which is the reporting requirement under this scenario? Anyone? No? Okay. So basically, the reporting requirement in this particular scenario is under CARO 2020. I'm giving you a hint. CARO 2020 will be applicable. Why? Because it's a group of hospitals and it's a listed entity. So CARO 2020 will be applicable. Mergers have happened. So it's a group audit involved. It's a listed entity. So like that way. Now tell me where this particular reporting will happen under CARO 2020, which is the para, which is that para, where the CARO 2020 reporting will be. Like under para 3, which particular clause is there under which this reporting will happen? Anyone? No? Okay. So there is para 3.3 and then para 3.3. Yes, very good. 3.3 A to E. Okay. So basically it talks about 3.3 E more. Okay. Now, what 33E talks about? What is the requirement under para 3, clause 3, subclause E? Now, para 3, clause E, subclause, para 3, clause 3 and subclause E talks about whether any loan or advance in the nature of loans granted which has fallen due during the year has been renewed or extended, or fresh loans granted to settle the overdue of existing loans to the same parties. And if yes, then you need to specify the aggregate amount of such dues renewed or extended or settled by the fresh loans, or advance provided which were in the nature of loans granted during the year, and you need to provide that with the detail. So if auditor identifies any such transaction, then he is required to report. Now this clause requires reporting in respect of loans and advances which are in the nature of loans granted, renewed, extended, or fresh loan granted to settle overdue loans. Okay. This clause was basically inserted to identify instances of evergreening of loans. That is, every time you renew or green the loan. Okay. However, note this particular term, that is, I'm talking about evergreening, is not defined in the Companies Act. So it has to be understood in the common parlance. That means to the evergreening means an attempt to mask the loan or to hide the old loan by giving a new loan. Clear? Okay. Now let me ask you one question. Basic question I will ask you, that if you have to identify such kind of scenario, like whether there is an evergreening of loan that is happening, what audit procedures you will follow? Now, if I ask you, you have to audit to identify whether evergreening of loan is happening or not. What audit procedures would you follow? Simple. I'm talking about pure audit. Tell me the audit procedures that you will do if you have to audit whether any evergreening of loan is happening or not. Come on. Quickly, guys. Again, I will repeat my question. If I ask you to audit to identify whether any evergreening of loan is happening or not, which audit procedures you will follow or perform? Okay, Kirti. So you're saying checking the loans which are going to renew in the period. Okay. But not every time there will be a renewal of the loan in the simple terms. Masking can happen in 10 different ways. Anyone? Masking can happen in 10 different ways. So how will you audit? Okay, I'll tell you. Basically, in order to audit, what you need to do is, first of all, as an auditor, you need to obtain the list of parties to whom loans or advances which are made in the nature of loans that are falling due in the current period. That means if there is an amount getting due in the current period, those loans or the parties first you need to obtain from the management. Okay, management, tell me out of these parties, which are the parties whose loan is getting overdue or due during the year. Second, once you identify that, I have to examine the loan agreement or the arrangement with such parties. Whether the loan agreement contains any term of renewal or extension of loan, what is the term which is defined or the mode which is defined for the repayment of loan, what agreement says the conditions underlying the loan or which are specified in the agreement. There could be loans which are falling due on the balance sheet date but were not extended or renewed in the current period. Rather, they were renewed in the next period. Means getting due in the month of March, I did not do anything. And then in the month of April, I went ahead and renewed the loan. So that is considered as an event occurring after balance sheet date. Which essay you will apply for that? Which essay you will apply for that? For the events occurring after the balance sheet date but before the date of audit report.
Subsequent events, SA560.
Very good. So, considering this as a subsequent event, I would report that for the current year. And the same will also be reported in the next year. Now, as I discussed earlier, that there is some reporting requirement. There are certain things that you are required to report under para 3.3e. Can anyone tell me again which is the reporting that you need to do? What you need to report? I cannot say just, okay, yes, there is an evergreening of loan. I have to provide some details when I'm making a qualified comment in the CARO. So what are those details? Can anyone tell me? Ten minutes ago, I just repeated those details. Trust me, 10 minutes ago only, I told you those details. So what are the details that you are required to provide behind this qualification in CARO 2020? Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. No issues. So what I need to disclose is name of the parties, aggregate amount of the loans or advances which are granted during the year, amount overdue which is settled by or renewed by or a fresh loans were given against that to same parties, then percentage of the aggregate percentage of the of the aggregate, that amount given to the total loans or advances in the nature of loans or advances granted during the year. Means if I have granted 200 rupees on the name of evergreening of loan, then the percentage of 200 by the total loans or advances given during the year or granted during the year. Clear? Any doubt with this? Any doubt? Okay. I'll give you an example also that how we need to report. See, this is an example. Let's say company has an opening loan of 100 and three more loans were granted of 200, 300 and 400 during the year. The company extended tenure in respect of two loans, 100 and 200. when they fell due for the payment. Percentage of the aggregate to the total loans or the advances in the nature of the loans granted during the year would be 33%. Okay. So during the year, I granted 3 loans, 200, 300 and 400. So the percentage will be based on the total loans that have been renewed by the loans total or advance which were granted during the period. Clear? So basically it is nothing but the evergreening part, which is 300, 200 and plus 100, 100 plus 200 divide by your total loans granted, which is 200, 300 and 400. These three. That is 200 plus 300 plus 400. So this is 33%. Clear? Okay. So that was with respect to loans and advances. Now, next question. The next question is, with respect to anonymous whistleblower email and the unusual Q4 revenue spike, analyze the auditor's responsibility under section 143(12) of the Companies Act regarding reporting fraud to the central government. Now here, given with respect to that particular area, you need to tell me reporting requirement under section 143(12) and whether that will be applicable in this scenario, yes or no. Come on, guys. Read this bullet point for a minute and then answer me whether 143(12) will be applicable in this scenario, yes or no. So I have received one answer from Kirti. Okay, good. Good, Kirti. Anyone else? Anyone else? Whether this is applicable, yes or no. Pretty straightforward, trust me. If you read the point, you will come to know what is there. You need to focus on the words. Trust me, each and every word is important. Just don't go, okay, there is something, then, it might be. Just go with the, requirements of the section and what is given in this paragraph. If you'll compare both, you will come to know.
So 143(12) talks about the fraud reporting, and the reporting will be done only if the fraud amount is more than 1 crore. So in this case, if the amount is not mentioned, hence no reporting is required.
Hence no reporting required. Okay, great. Anyone else? What do you think? One 43(12). No? Okay, I'll tell you.
The auditors submit their observation to the audit committee and board of directors.
Okay, yes. But my primary question is that whether 143(12) will be applicable in this scenario. I'm not going to the limit as of now.
Sir, the same thing. Here is nothing mentioned amount. That's why we can't take decision. So
Again, I'm not going to apart from the amount, let's say amount decides the method of reporting. Amount doesn't decide the applicability of the section 143.12. There are two different things. So based on the amount, you decide, okay, how to do the reporting part. With the central government, more than 1 CR, less than 1 CR to board of directors. But applicability of section 143.12 is decided on the basis of the case. What are the fact or details of the case, irrespective of the amount.
It is
Anyone?
applicable, sir.
applicable.
Any specific reason you guys are saying applicable?
Sorry, employee fraud.
Unusual billing patterns are there.
Okay,
And the documentation is also not mentioned.
See, here it is probable, means not probable. I will say here the actual fraud is still not identified. In this scenario, there are chances of fraud. Again, I'll repeat. What I'm discussing over here is chances. There are chances that there could be fraud. Nowhere in the bullet point it is mentioned that there is an actual fraud. So we are talking about probability of occurrence of fraud. Now tell me, with this particular part, like when you have a probability of occurrence, rather than, I'm saying there is no actual fraud, but we don't have that information available with us that whether fraud has happened or not. We just have some information.
Suspected fraud के लिए भी हम लोग inform करते हैं because
yes, very good. So the section 143.12 does not only talks about the actual fraud. It says that there are specific words, and I'll highlight those words again. They are very important. That while performance of the duties as an auditor, if auditor has reason to believe, okay, that an offense of fraud involving such amount as may be prescribed has conducted or has been committed by its officer. So the term has reason to believe. That doesn't mean the actual fraud. Based on the evidence in my hand, based on the information available to me, if I have a reason to believe that the fraud has happened, in that case, I have to report under section 143, subsection 12.
And sir, RO के clause 11 में भी report होगा. Sir, RO 2020 के clause number 11 में भी report होगा क्या fraud reporting वाले clause?
Sorry, your voice is breaking actually.
Sir, I'm asking that whether it will be reported in the clause RO 2020 if it is related to the fraud.
Yes. So if CARO is applicable, which is in this particular case, I am required to report over there also.
Okay, sir, clear.
Clear with this? Okay. Now, coming to next part. Now, let's say for time being, okay, here, like I have a probability, like, when I did some investigation, so I think with 50% chance, or with 50% probability, the amount involved is, let's say, 1.2 CR, or there is 50% probability that the amount involved is 56 lakhs. So I have a 50-50 probability. Like 50% was 1.2 CR and 50% to 56 lakhs. So now tell me, if I have given you this additional information, would you report to the central government?
Yes, sir.
I have only 50% probability of 1.2 CR.
No, sir, it will not be reported because it is not actually happened.
I don't have the actual amount in my hand.
The probability के basis पे सीधे को report नहीं करेंगे.
Anyone else?
It doesn't matter what is the probability. I have reasons to believe that fraud is greater than of 50 nearby 50%. That is 1.2 CR. So I will inform to central government as well as board and audit committee.
Very good. So when it comes to Rule 13, again, there are certain words in Rule 13 which talks about if auditor has a reason to believe that an offense of fraud which involves, and there is another word involved in that, which or expected to involve. That means it's not only the actual amount which is part, like, okay, which involves, but it talks about expected to involve. That is your expected amount. If I have a probability of 50% that 1.2 CR is the fraud amount that is expected to involve, and based on that, that is amount expected to involve individually, okay, an amount of rupees 1 CR or above, in that case, I am required to report the matter to the central government. So reason to believe, that talks about might be, fraud might be there. Expected to involve, again, not the actual amount, but based on the probability, if you think there is a fraud. Actual amount after doing the investigation, maybe let's say 56 lakhs. But at that point in time, when I had the information, I expected the amount to get involved is 1.2 CR. That's why I reported. Perfectly fine. You have to report in that scenario. You don't have to wait for the actual amount.
But sir, फिर अगर सीजी ने फिर investigation या fraud तो फिर auditor की liability बनेगी फिर इसके ऊपर?
Now, there will not be liability on auditor if the actual amount, even if there is no fraud. Let's say I had a reason to believe I had an expected amount, but when actual investigation happened, it was only error. There was no fraud involved. There will be no liability on fraud on auditor.
And sir, amount भी 1 crore से कम निकला फिर?
Yes, still I'm saying there is zero amount. Actually, it was error of 56 lakh rupees. There was no actual fraud. In that case, there is one section, that is 143.13. 143.13 talks about that there is no duty to which auditor may be subject to, or like auditor cannot be held regarded to like any contravention of the section 143.12 if he reported the matter in good faith. So if he is doing the reporting in good faith, then there is no liability on the auditor.
मीन्स अगर सर एक्सपेक्टेशन के बेसिस पे ऑडिटर को रिपोर्ट करने से पहले बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर को रिपोर्ट करेंगे, देन फिर सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को, क्योंकि अमाउंट पता नहीं कि 1 करोड़ से कम हो गया या ज्यादा होगा.
Yes. So on that only, my next question is this one. That is, outline the procedures prescribed to report the fraud under section 143.12 of the Companies Act and rules thereto assuming the amount is more than 1 CR. So assume amount more than 1 CR. Now tell me the procedure which is given. Come on. What is the procedure given under section 143(12)?
सर विद इन 2 days में पहले बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स को रिपोर्ट करेंगे, देन 45 days में उनके रिप्लाई लेंगे बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर से, देन इन नेक्स्ट 15 days सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से रिपोर्ट करेंगे एडीटी फोर्स में.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add something more to this? Anyone? Okay. Basically, yes.
mentioned in the report wrongful जो gain हुआ है, loss हुआ है, and what is the impact on the financials of the companies, and साथ में जो जिन employees ने किया है, whether they committed their fraud or not, और जो फ्रॉड है वो ड्यूरिंग द ऑडिट प्रोसीजर में उन्होंने फाइंड आउट किया है, वो उसका कितना रिलेवेंट अमाउंट है, मतलब लाइक
Okay.
ये सारे पॉइंट्स कंसीडर करके फिर रिपोर्ट आगे सेंड करते हैं, देन आगे जो प्रोसीजर उन्होंने बताया.
Okay. Yes. So basically, if you see ADD4 itself, ADD4 says that what you need to report is number 1, the office location. Number 2, full details of the suspected people involved in the fraud. Okay. Number 3, full details of the offense that is there with respect to the fraud. Means you need to provide the details of the fraud. Okay. So details about people, details about fraud, location, where do you believe that fraud has conducted. Okay. And then on the basis of which you think there is a fraud. Why do you think there is a fraud? The suspect behind it. The period for which or during which the fraud has occurred. Then you need to include the date of sending report to the board of directors or audit committee. Like, okay, when you send the report, the reply received, if any, because at the time there could be a scenario where the reply has not been received. Then in that case, if the reply has been received, then whether are you satisfied with the reply? Okay. Estimated amount, detailed steps that you have taken till now with respect to this particular fraud, or detailed step if the company has already taken to identify or to investigate the fraud. Because sometimes the company might suo moto also take some steps, or they might take some steps on your intimation. So if they have taken any steps and any other information that you have with respect to the fraud, those things are required to be reported under ADT4. So the procedure is that yes, within 2 days you are required to report to the board of directors or audit committee. You need to expect their reply within 45 days. If reply has been received, then along with your note, okay, you need to forward it within 15 days to the central government. If the reply has not been received, then with a note that there is no reply received, you need to send it to the central government. Okay, the report is required to be sent to the ministry, secretary of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the sealed government by registered post with acknowledgement due. The report is required to be there in the form ADT4. Okay, again, all the details are there, like, auditor's details are required to be mentioned on the form ADT4. So this is a procedure when the amount is more than 1 CR. Clear with this? Any doubt? Any doubt, guys? Okay. If no further doubts, I hope if you are, in agreement with this, what we do is let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and we'll solve one more question on the similar lines. Okay. Let's take a quick 10-minute break.
सर जब एक सीए मतलब सीए ना तो वो प्रैक्टिस में ना वो सर्विस में है, ओनली इस क्वालिफाइड है, मतलब आई मीन फाइनल क्लियर है, एंड वो अगर मेंबरशिप फीस नहीं भरता है तो क्या वो सीए लगा सकता है?
See, then if he has not paid the membership fee, so there are consequences for that. His name can be removed from the register of members. If his name has been removed, then he can.
और अगर वो लगता है सपोज, तो सेम पेनल्टीज 1,000 and 5,000 एप्लीकेबल फॉर दैट पर्सन आल्सो?
Yes, because again, if he is not included in the register of members, then he cannot call himself as a member of institute.
ओके.
Any other doubt, guys? Okay. If no further doubt, let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue the session. Okay? Let's take a quick 10-minute break. Break start, sir. let's continue the session. Hello, everyone. Let's continue the discussion. So I have one more question to discuss. Let's discuss that question and try to solve some more questions. Again, that will serve a good point for us for revision of the topics and questions. Okay. So the question is, sorry for the bad throat. Auto Component Manufacturing Limited (ACML) is a prominent manufacturer of automotive components supplying major supplying to major original equipment manufacturers. You are the engagement quality control reviewer for the statutory audit of ACML for the financial year ending 31st March 2024. ACML is operating in a dynamic industry facing rapid technological advancements and global supply chain uncertainties. While ACML has historically been profitable, recent industry trends and internal development has raised audit concerns. Global semiconductor shortages have severely impacted ACML's production schedules, resulting in significant delays and buildup of raw materials and work in progress inventories across its multiple manufacturing locations. Concerns are mounting regarding potential obsolescence of certain inventory items as OEMs are rapidly transitioning toward newer vehicle models and electric vehicle technology. Okay. Despite these challenges, management has not initiated a detailed obsolescence review, instead relying on the historical write-off percentages, which the audit team believes may be insufficient given the unprecedented industry disruptions. During the physical inventory verification procedures conducted across ACML's various warehouses, the audit team noted inconsistency in the inventory record keeping practices at certain locations and instances of the discrepancies between physical stock counts and recorded inventory balances. Management explained these as an isolated minor issues and represented that ACML has a periodic inventory verification process. However, specific of this process and effectiveness remain unclear. Furthermore, analytical procedures performed by the audit team comparing inventory turnover and cost of goods sold trends suggest a potential slowdown in the inventory movement and possible artificial inflation of the year-end closing inventory values. Anonymous communication from the warehouse employee has been received by the audit team alleging that certain slow-moving and potential obsolete inventory is being intentionally misclassified to avoid necessary write-downs and to present a more favorable financial position. Subsequent to the balance sheet date, a significant government policy shift was announced, heavily incentivizing electric vehicle production and adoption. This policy is expected to accelerate the obsolescence of the component for the traditional internal combustion engine vehicles, which still represent substantial portion of ACML's current inventory and planned future production. You, as a role in audit partner, are required to evaluate these matters and guide the audit team concerning the appropriate response, reporting obligations under relevant standards on auditing, CARO, and Companies Act. So, the first question that we have, or rather, before we go to the question, take 2 minutes or 5 minutes, try to read the question first. Okay, read the question, focus on each and every detail, and then we'll go to the questions. So, take 5 minutes, read the question. Focus on each and every detail. Okay. Try to focus on each and every critical detail which is there. Okay. Once you will read, then we'll proceed for the questions. I hope now you have read the question. Okay. Let's proceed to the, if you have read the case summary, good. If you have read the case scenario, very good. Okay. Now let's read this particular second paragraph. We have read, but I'll give you 2 minutes more to read the second paragraph itself. Then we will jump to the questions. Clear with this case study? I hope you have read the case study. Now let's go to the question. Okay. So the first question is, evaluate whether the concerns regarding potential inventory obsolescence at the Auto Component Manufacturing Limited, that is ACML, would lead to a modification of opinion of the ACML's financial statement under SA 705. So we are talking about inventory obsolescence. Do you think that would lead to your qualification under SA 705? Pretty much easy, that what we have discussed till now based on our last questions. It shouldn't be difficult for you. Come on, guys. What do you think? Do you think a modification is required in this scenario? Yes, no? Anyone? What do you think? A modification is required? Okay. See, whenever we have to think about modification, there are few things that we need to consider. Number one, the misstatement. If there is misstatement, if there is, there are areas where we could, predict there is a misstatement, yes, in those scenarios, we might need to modify if management does not rectify their misstatement. Okay. So in this particular scenario, if you see, there are few things that, they point out towards a misstatement. For example, management has not initiated a detailed obsolescence review. Number two, relying instead on the historical write-off percentages. Number three, there are concerns regarding potential inventory obsolescence of certain inventory items because there is a change in the technology. Number four, we have one of the scenario where, there was a significant government policy shift, heavily incentivizing electric vehicle production, means acceleration of obsolescence of components for traditional internal combustion vehicle engines. Okay, so there are things which are pointing towards a material misstatement. As a result, this requires a modification by the auditor. If auditor identifies by conducting the inventory count if there are obsolete inventory, if auditor feels there is an obsolete inventory, yes, then he should modify the opinion. Yes or no? Clear
Yes,
with
sir.
this?
Yes, sir.
Yep, very good. Now, the second question I have is with respect to the reporting on the car. Do you think based on the given information, there is any reporting requirement under CARO?
Yes, sir.
And in which area?
Clause 2, inventory.
Yes. Okay. Can you tell me what is the reporting requirement under clause 2, para 3?
सर 10% से ज्यादा वेरिएशन है इसके अंदर, क्योंकि पूरा ऑब्सोलेट हो रहा है एंड द चेंज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी हो रही है एंड गवर्नमेंट भी के इन्वॉल्वमेंट उसका है कि वो पॉलिसी शिफ्ट कर रही है फॉर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक व्हीकल्स, सो
Okay. Basically, if you see the requirement which is there under the CARO para 3 clause 2 and subclause A, which talks about whether physical verification of the inventory has been conducted at the reasonable intervals by the management. Second, whether in opinion of the auditor, the coverage and the procedure of such verification by the management is appropriate. Now, first of all, the question comes is when management says we have not initiated a detailed obsolescence review, can I say that there is, the physical verification is not as per the requirement? Because I need physical verification of inventory at a reasonable interval. The coverage and procedure of such verification by the management should be appropriate. But here the procedure, I'm not commenting upon the coverage, but the procedure of such verification, that is obsolescence review, is not being done. In that case, I can say the procedure of such verification is not appropriate. Yes or no?
yes sir.
Now, the second part is whether any discrepancies of 10% or more in the aggregate for each class of inventory were noticed. If so, then how they have been dealt in the books of account, whether they have been dealt properly or not. Now, we do have a discrepancy. If you see in the current scenario, we have a discrepancy and noted inconsistency in inventory record keeping practice at certain locations. Okay, there was a discrepancy between physical stock counts and inventory. However, we don't have a percentage. But if this is more than 10%, then we have to report this also. And then how management has dealt with this. Clear?
Sir, we assume more than 10% because auditor follow the analytical procedure for finding out the discrepancies, and resulting from that he will find out some slow moving stocks and potential obsolete inventory.
Yes. So this was per point that analytical procedure performed by the audit team comparing the inventory turnover and the COGS suggest a potential slowdown in the inventory movement and possible artificial inflation of the year-end closing values. So that demonstrate that there is a problem. This again goes to the misstatement part because it shows that there could be a misstatement with respect to the inventory.
So same thing. But what I said, this is the discrepancy more than 10%, right? Mrs. Statement is related to मतलब kind of discrepancy हो गया, material discrepancy हो गया.
Yes, see, as of now, it is not clear cut that whether it is 10% or more. Okay, you can assume in your answer also if that is 10%, but the best way to write it is like in case if you don't have the clear cut answer, detail in the question about these figures, in that case, you need to answer in a way that okay, if that is more than 10%, assuming that if that is a scenario, then what auditor is required to do. So here, if that discrepancy is more than 10%, then there is another reporting requirement that auditor has to report the discrepancy along with how they have been properly dealt in the books of accounts.
Okay, sir.
I hope. Okay. Okay. So that was with respect to CARO part. Okay. Another question that I may have from this, okay, or the next question here is that in this particular scenario, is there any other consideration apart from section 143 subsection 12? See, section 143 subsection 12 is there for the reporting of fraud. Is there any other reporting requirement? I'm not talking about Claro or company set. Is there any other reporting requirement with respect to fraud apart from Companies Act? Apart from Companies Act. Anyone else? Anyone? Fraud consideration requirement apart from Companies Act. Come on, guys. No? Okay. What is SA240? Can anyone tell me about SA240? SA240.
Identifying fraud in the financial statement.
Okay. Yes, very good. Identifying fraud in a financial statement. So if there is a identification of fraud in a financial statement, that will be applicable in this scenario.
Yes, sir.
So if that is applicable, then as an auditor, we are required to consider fraud in an audit of financial statement.
Yes, sir.
As per SA 240. So there will be one more requirement for the consideration of fraud apart from section 143 subsection 12.
Yes.
That is the point. So here when a question comes, what is the requirement for the auditor to consider fraud apart from company set? First, your thought should go to the standards on auditing. Is there any requirement? And that we have discussed, yes, SA 240 is there. Then you have to explain that what is the requirement enumerated under SA 240.
Sir, I thought you asked about the SEBI and other regulations act which need to require to the fraud amount. मतलब I don't consider it as a 240. I just thought the SEBI and other regulation which need to report fraud also.
No issues, no issues. So yes, basically, SA 240 will be the one that we will be answering over here. Okay. Now, there is one more question that I have with respect to this particular area. Okay. Sorry. Basically, that question is that when we are discussing about these particular kind of scenario where you have an inventory obsolescence, where you have, a chance of a misstatement, how do you consider this particular or how do you deal this particular scenario when it comes to the reporting? Okay, when it comes to the reporting for the key audit matters, will you report these matters to the key audit matter paragraph? So when it comes to the reporting of key audit matter paragraph, will you report this matter to the key audit matter? Yes, no? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the reporting requirement? If you have to include a particular matter under key audit matter paragraph, then what is the reporting requirement?
So, reporting requirement, first thing is material misstatement. And the second thing, जो special attention has special attention item is inventory obsolete and government policy that should be required, and findings like जो इन्होंने जो बिल्स को करके करी है, जो नेक्स्ट सेकंड पैराग्राफ में नीचे दिखाया उन्होंने आपने, जो बिल इन्होंने फेक बिल बना के या जो भी कॉस्ट और नीचे एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर जो उसने फॉलो किए थे, उससे जो फाइंडिंग्स आई वो की ऑडिट मैटर पैराग्राफ में हम लोग रिपोर्ट करेंगे, मतलब इंडिकेट करेंगे।
Okay. Okay. No issues.
स्पेशल अटेंशन मतलब लाइक हमें की ऑडिट मैटर का अगर मीनिंग निकाले तो स्पेशल अटेंशन विच इज प्रोवाइडेड टू मतलब दोज चार्ज विद गवर्नेंस एंड ऑडिट कमिटी।
Okay, very good. Yes. So when it comes to the key audit matter paragraph, first of all, understand if the matter is required, under the qualification, in that case, I will not report that particular matter as a key audit matter paragraph. If that matter requires a qualification, then it will not be reported under the key audit matter paragraph. For sure. It will only reported under key audit matter paragraph when you have audited and you have not identified any material misstatement and there are certain conditions. Number one, it is communicated to those charged with governance. So it should be the matter, one of those matter which is reported to those charged with governance. Second, it should be a matter of significant where auditor has faced significant difficulties, where auditor has, where a lot of estimation judgment was involved, where a lot of professional judgment was involved. It took a lot of time in case of audit. So all those areas, for all those areas, you can consider that particular area as a key audit matter. But if and only if it is not a qualification. Another part is if a particular item is an item which is respect to you can say EOM paragraph, OM paragraph, where these reporting under these paragraph is required. In that case, there is no requirement of reporting that matter under CAM. So CAM is not a substitute. Again, CAM is not a substitute for your reporting under EOM paragraph, OM paragraph. Okay. So you should only report in CAM when and only when it is either not with respect to what you say qualification, it is not a key audit, it's not an EOM paragraph, it's not an OM paragraph. Otherwise, you should not report, if that is a part of those things, then you should not report that item under the CAM. Clear with this? Any doubt till now, guys? Any doubt?
No, sir. Sir, one thing, sir, if it is not mentioned in the key audit matter paragraph, then we will mention in a EOM paragraph.
No, see, there are matters which are, see, now when I will report in EOM paragraph. So what is the condition to report in EOM paragraph? What is the condition to report in EOM paragraph? Basically, I will report in EOM paragraph when it is matter appropriately disclosed in FS, okay, and fundamental to user understanding. Then I will report that matter to EOM paragraph. Other matter paragraph is matter with respect to auditor's responsibility, auditor's report, or audit other than reported in FS or financial statement. That will go in other matter paragraph. Yes. Now, very important part. When I call a key audit matter, when I call a paragraph or when I want to report any item under the key audit matter paragraph, first of all, understand these are the matters which were key or which were critical for me as an auditor during the audit. So key audit matters are the matters which were most significant in the audit of financial statement. So which appeared to me as the most significant when I was doing the audit. Okay, so it is most significant with respect to or in audit of FS of the current period or current year basically. Means when I was doing audit, if there is any item which was very important to me during the audit, okay. Now, how I decide most significant, there are certain things. Okay, areas of higher risk assessment, areas where auditor judgment is higher. Okay, effect of those significant events or transactions that occurred after the period, but that was very significant on the audit of financial statement. So that's how I define what is most significant. Plus, these are the matters communicated to those charged with governance. Now, understand the requirement of each and every paragraph. Why I disclose key audit matter? I disclose key audit matter to demonstrate, okay, what are the areas that were difficult during the audit, and I demonstrate that how audit is performed for these areas. What procedures I performed in the audit. First of all, I tell them why it was a key audit matter, and then I tell them what audit procedures I performed to deal with this key audit area. And at the end, that means if I'm reporting that item into a CAM, it's not a misstatement. Means after doing audit, I was able to get the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence that I required. Matter over. So there was a difficulty. I performed these audit procedures, and hence there is no material misstatement because I got all the evidence I required after performing the procedure. Okay, so kind of a happy ending. When I talk about EOM paragraph is something critical which is already reported by management. Again, I'm talking about something critical which is already disclosed in the FS, already reported by management in FS. Management will never go and say, okay, no, the audit of the warranty area is very difficult in their financial statement. No, these kind of disclosures doesn't happen. Management will disclose some events, some transactions. So if there are certain disclosed important event and transactions, which as an auditor, I want that user should focus while reading the FS, I'm just bringing attention of the user to that by bringing those transactions or event or by referencing those transactions or event in my auditor's report. So I am trying to bring user attention to those transactions. I'm not saying that these were difficult or I perform these audit procedures. I'm not saying anything to that, but I think users should read or focus on to these transactions because of their nature. Okay. And these are disclosed here. So I provide a reference to them. And the second is other matter paragraph. This with respect to auditor's responsibility, auditor's report, and audit means if there is something different than auditor's responsibility, report, or audit, then I'm required to use other matter paragraph. For example, when I rely upon the work performed by other auditor. Over there, when I rely upon the work performed by component auditor, I say that, okay, as an auditor, it is my responsibility for the whole financial statement, consolidated financial statement. But somewhere I am going and I'm saying that no, I have relied upon the component auditor. I'm saying that I relied upon the component auditor, although I'm being responsible for the whole consolidated financial statement, which is something different. That's why I'm going for the other matter paragraph. Okay. So other matter paragraph is something which is different about the auditor's responsibility or report or audit, you can say. So this is the difference between all the three. But in all three, you have a happy ending. That means there is no misstatement in the end. Remember that. There is no misstatement. Otherwise, they will never go to EOM, OOM, or KEM. Clear?
Got it, sir. So that's why I told you last session में भी कि आप एक बार क्लास फिर से important topics के लिए लीजिए.
Purposefully, I have discussed these things so that you can get revisions. And I think some revision base will also start for you guys on audit. So you can attend that also.
Sir, that's webinars are taken by other professionals, matlab like other teachers. You are not taking these webinars. और सर हमें एक्चुअली क्या है कि अब वी यूज टू मतलब आपकी लैंग्वेज आपकी सब चीजें हमें अब आदत हो गई है. आप एक लाइन बोलते हो हमें क्लिक हो जाता है ये कहाँ जाना है.
Yes. Thank you for that. Mhm. But I will again, suggest try to attend that. Something you will get out of it, but it will be very helpful and it will be very good for you because it will, at the end you will able to correlate things because now you have attended these lectures, so it will be, more easier for you to attend those, understand those lectures.
स्टिल सर उसमें सारे टॉपिक्स कवर नहीं है. ओनली द टॉपिक वेटेज अगर हम देखते हैं तो वेटेज के अकॉर्डिंग सिर्फ 20 to 30 मार्क्स का पेपर हमारा जस्ट कवर होगा उससे. अदरवाइज बाकी जो 70 मार्क्स का पेपर है वो पोर्शन है वो अनकवर्ड है उन वेबिनार्स के जो सेशन के टॉपिक्स है.
See that. I need to see that. Okay, no issues on that. So I hope you are clear with the EOM, other matter, and CAM.
Yes, sir, absolutely clear.
Okay, great. So if you're clear with this, so now it will be very easy for you guys to understand basically when to report which paragraph, when to report under which paragraph. Okay. Now what we will do is I will take up some more questions. Okay. Now these are, you can say, questions basically which were there in the exam. Okay. So I'll take up some suggested questions from previous exams so that we can discuss the answer writing also along with that. Okay. So just let me go through those questions. Okay. So let's discuss some questions over here. Happy Hospital, I'll just zoom in a bit. Happy Hospital is very renowned hospital for orthopedic surgeries in Mumbai, having sophisticated infrastructure. Happy Hospital has started using an invoice system which includes complete record of indoor patient and their diagnosis, their treatment, their medications, their billing and receipts thereon. Okay, invoice systems, which is developed and managed by the CT contractors. CAZ is a statutory auditor of Happy Hospital. CAZ came to know about this system while auditing. CAZ is concerned whether the controls at the CT contractor associates are operating effectively or not. For this purpose, CAZ demanded from CT contractor an assurance report from practicing chartered accountant about their opinion on their description of the CT contractor system and their effectiveness of the controls. Which type of report should be obtained by CAZ in terms of relevant standards on auditing? What aspects are to be considered by CAZ in using such assurance report as an audit evidence that controls at the CT contractors are operating effectively? Take a minute, read the question again, and then we'll discuss. Read the question in detail, focus on each and every word. Okay. Now tell me which type of report. So let's focus on question by question. So the first question is, which type of report should be obtained by CAZ in terms of relevant auditing standard? Come on, guys. Which type of report should be obtained? Come on. So first question is, which type of report should be obtained by CAZ in terms of relevant standards on auditing? We have discussed this topic. Just focus on the words. There are two important words which will tell you the answer. Very good, Kirti. Okay, I'll tell you. See, do you remember or recall the type 1, type 2 report that we discussed in a particular standard? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What was the standard?
SA 402.
Absolutely correct. SA 402. Okay, that is audit consideration related to entity using service organization. Very good. Yes, Kirti. Now, remember, type 1 report. If you see SA 402, if I talk about basically SA 402, there were two reports, type 1 report and type 2 report. Basically, if you see type 1 report was more onto the description of the controls. Yes or no? So when we were discussing the type 1 report, at that time also, I told you that type 1 report covers a description prepared by the management. A description that is prepared by the management about the service organization system, controls, okay, and how they have been designed and implemented at a specified date. So type 1 basically talks about description. Type 1 talks about description, okay, of these systems and controls which are designed and implemented at a specified date. Okay, and then service auditor, provides a reasonable assurance that description, okay, an opinion that, okay, this particular description of the service organization system, control objective, design is proper. It is achieving the objectives that is designed for. That is type 1 report, where management shows you a description, auditor gives a reasonable assurance that, okay, this description achieved the objective on a specified date. Now, in the question, if they were asking only description, then type 1 was sufficient. If in that question, if it was a question only about the descriptions, like whether the controls, like whether the controls are there or not, which controls are there basically. So if that was the question, type 1 is fine. About the description of CT contractor system, I would have not gone to further. But now they want this particular part, effectiveness of the control, which is not there in type 1.
Type 2.
Yes, then if type 1 is not sufficient, I need to see for the type 2 report. Basically, type 2 report is everything which is there in the type 1. Plus, you have a report by the service auditor that he has tested the controls and what are the result of those tests. Plus, management also includes that what is their operating effectiveness throughout the period, and service auditor issues opinion on that operative effectiveness of the controls. So in type 2 report, management says that, okay, these are the controls that were operating effectively throughout the period, and auditor was issuing a reasonable assurance that, okay, yes, these are the controls that were operating effectively throughout the period, and these are the tests I have performed. So operating effectiveness plus test performed is there in the type 2. And that is irrelevant for me. So the answer to the question, which type of report should be obtained by the CAZ in terms of relevant standards on auditing. So in terms of SA 402, I should go for type 2 report. Yes or no? Clear with this? Okay. If no doubts, I'll proceed further to the second part. Now, the second part of the question was, what aspects are to be considered by CAZ in using such assurance report as an audit evidence that the controls at the CT contractors are operating effectively. So if I give you type 2 report, okay, this is the type 2 report, take it. Will you take it and accept it and, like, okay, this is full and final, this is, audit evidence for me. Is it so? Yes, no? I gave you type 2 report. This is type 2 report. Take it. You took the type 2 report. Now, will you accept that as an audit evidence, matter closed, you are satisfied, or will you do something else? Anyone? Think on
Sir,
this.
not absolute evidence, but it's just only supportive evidence होता है type 2 report, right? And further procedure have to follow by the other auditor, जो कंपनी का मेन ऑडिटर है, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिटर, उसको कुछ या फिर और कोई भी दूसरा ऑडिटर है जिसको जो टाइप 2 रिपोर्ट को ले रहा है, उसे कुछ जिसको उसके अकॉर्डिंग उसको कुछ और एक्शंस भी प्लान करने पड़ेंगे अपनी ऑडिट प्लानिंग के अंदर, एंड उस लेने पड़ेंगे, एक्शन लेने पड़ेंगे.
Yes, so let's say you are the auditor for the Happy hospitals, okay? Now the auditor of CT contractors have given you, take this type 2 report. Now you are the auditor for Happy Hospital, okay, who is using CT contractors as a service provider. What additional procedures you will take or perform, basically? Think on that. Like, I am the auditor. I am auditing Happy Hospital. Happy Hospital outsourced this particular area to a CT contractors. Now the auditor of CT contractor has given me a type 2 report. Should I accept that report and do nothing, or I am required to do something?
So required to do something.
Yes, and what's that?
Sir, type 2 की रिपोर्ट इज नॉट सफिशिएंट सर. ये डिस्कस हो चुका है पहले भी, बट एक्चुअली द पॉइंट इज कि उसकी इंडिपेंडेंस वगैरह भी चेक करनी पड़ेगी उसको. एंड वो जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, जहाँ पे सर्विस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जहाँ से वो अपने बीपीओ काइंड ऑफ सर्विस दे रहा है, उसके अंदर भी हमें कंट्रोल्स चेक करने पड़ेंगे. एंड कितनी जेन्युइन है वो रिपोर्ट, वो देखना पड़ेगा. बाकी टेक्निकल टर्म्स में आप बताएंगे, क्योंकि हमारे सर दिमाग से निकल चुका है.
No. See, what you said is right. It's not wrong. Okay. So, when I'm using a type 2 report as an evidence, I am not only required to take the report. No, I need to see some things before I accept that report as an appropriate report. Okay. Number one, I need to evaluate whether the description, design, controls that are there at the service organization, that is CT contractors, are relevant for me. He can give me n number of controls description, but whether all the controls are relevant for me. So let's say, for example, there are controls behind, billing. Now they have a control which is not relevant for me. What I will do, type 2 report on them. So the controls which are listed in the type 2 report, I have to check whether they are relevant or appropriate for the auditor's purpose. Number two, the date or the period covered by the report. See, what if they gave me the type 2 report of last year? What I will do with that? I have type 2 report, but it is of last year. So that is not useful for me. So what is the date or period, or let's say type 2 report for the half of the year, half year, not for the full year? Not relevant for me. So what period or date which is covered by the type 2 report, that is important. Number three, that what tests have been performed by the auditor. Very, very important. Test means, I specifically wrote this point here. These tests. What if the auditor tested only one sample for each control and he said the controls are passing, even the management?
यस सर, याद आ गया, आपने सैम्पलिंग में भी ये एग्जांपल दिया था सेम.
So what testing they are performed? Period covered by the test of control, or the adequacy of the time period, the adequacy of the samples, like how the test of controls have been performed. That is something I need to consider. So, and fourth point is the complementary user entity controls. Okay. What are complementary user entity controls basically? Complementary user entity controls means the controls which are there in the user entity, that is Happy Hospital. So controls which are there in the Happy Hospital, okay, and on which the CT contractors are relying. Are you understanding the point? So let's say there are controls in the Happy Hospital, and tomorrow CT contractors are saying, no. In our design also, these controls are included. that service organization says, that CT contractor says that no, whatever service I'm providing, whatever controls I have decided, in that the controls which are there in the Happy Hospital also plays an important role. So I will go to Happy Hospital and ask, do you have these controls? Because CT contractors are saying that no, you are having these controls, that you should have these controls. Simple example, that in case of a payroll, the payroll processor or the service organization was not checking the total, was not verifying the total of the salary or total of the file, because they assume that there is a control in the entity. They are verifying the total and then they are giving the file to us. So these are the controls or something like that. Okay, we have prepared a file, we will give to the user entity and then user entity will check the totals. So something we assume, the CT contractors are assuming, that will be done by the Happy Hospital. So those are the complementary user entity controls. Now, if your report has such controls, verify whether they actually exist and they are operating effectively or not. Otherwise, let's say, CT hospital or CT contractors were saying, no, this was supposed to be done by Happy Hospital. Happy Hospital never did that. So there is a gap. Even though you have a type 2 report, then there is a gap in the controls. So for that, you need to understand the complementary user entity control. So these are the things you need to verify, or the aspects that are required to be considered by CSZ in using such assurance report as an audit evidence. Clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We will see the answer. We will discuss the answer also, because somewhere down the line, we also need to write the answer. Whatever we have discussed. Now, how to write this? See, the answer goes like, first of all, you need to specify the scenario and which standard is applicable. Reason, because in the question, it says that which type of report should be obtained by CAZ in terms of relevant standards on auditing. So you need to specify the standard also. So here, if you see, in the given scenario, CAZ as a statutory auditor of Happy Hospital is concerned about the effectiveness of the control of the service organization. To address this, CT contractor should provide a type 2 assurance report from the practicing chartered accountant as per SA 402. Now, this report will offer an description of the system plus evaluation the effectiveness of the controls implemented by the CT contractors. That was the answer to the first part. Second part is, what aspect should the user auditor should consider. So, if the user auditor plans to use the type 2 report as an audit evidence, that controls at the service organization are operating effectively, the user auditor shall determine whether the service auditor's report provides sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. That is, evaluate whether the description, design, operating effectiveness of the control at the service organization is at the date or for the period that is appropriate. So period, remember. Second, determine whether complementary user entity controls identified by the service organization are relevant to the user entity. That we discussed about the complementary user entity control. And if so, obtain understanding of whether the user entity has designed and implemented such controls. Means CT contractor is saying, no, hospital was supposed to check the totals. So whether, first understand whether this kind of control is there or not. Obtain understanding of this particular control. And then whether user entity has designed and implemented such controls or not. And if yes, then test their operating effectiveness, whether anyone is actually checking the totals or not. Then evaluate the adequacy of the time period covered by the test of the controls and the time elapsed since the performance of the test of the controls. Means whether the test is adequate or not, how many samples have been taken, what is the time period covered, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, what is the period they have covered for the testing. and evaluate whether the test of control performed by the service auditor and results thereof, as described, are relevant to the assertions of the user entity financial statement, and they provide sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Means whatever tests have been performed is appropriate, the samples, the method that was considered while performing the test. Second, whether the outcome is relevant, means in type 2 report, the assurance is qualified assurance. Or in type 2 report, you have an adverse opinion. Now, although I have taken the type 2 report, but I have an adverse opinion in type 2 report, then I need to think about, okay, there the controls are not there at the service organization. What will be the implication on my user entity for this? So these are the aspects that the auditor is required to consider. Clear with this? How to write an answer also. So whatever we have discussed, the same has been written over here. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? No? Okay. If no doubts, let's proceed and discuss one more question. Very good question. The management of High Limited is concerned with the reporting requirement cast through Rule 11 of the company's Audit and Auditors Rule 2014 for financial year 23-24 with regard to audit trail, edit log feature. The audit trail may be enabled at the accounting software level depending on the features available in such software, or the same may be captured directly in the database underlying such accounting software. Consequently, the management of the company approached CAJ and asked him to suggest them list of the internal controls which may be required to implement and operate to demonstrate that the audit trail or edit log feature was functional, operational, and was not disabled. Help CAJ. Take a minute, read the question again, and then we will discuss. Very good question. Okay. So focus on what is asked in the question. Trust me, focus on what is asked. Okay. Now, let's discuss the answer. First of all, tell me what is asked. Leave the answer aside. Around which topic you will write the answer?
Sir, it is topic about the IT general controls.
Absolutely correct. Very good. It's not about section 143.3 or rule 11. It's just a scenario explanation, but underlying what is being asked is the list of internal controls which may be required to implement audit trail or edit log feature. Now, audit trail edit log feature is available in the accounting software level or database level, means at the IT level. So the question is about the internal controls at the IT level. IT controls. It's not about section 143 or rule 11 or companies act. So if you will write your answer about the companies act, it's not correct. Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Once you understood what you need to write, now tell me the list of controls, IT controls that you will suggest for this particular area.
Sir, the access entry and network security, like firewall वगैरह, and backup and restore, password protection, and
Focus on to more audit trail, edit log. So whatever you say, that is correct. That is not wrong. That is correct. Anyone like, or would you like to add something more, Monica? No? Okay. No issues. Basically, when I talk about audit trail or edit log, that is a feature that you have a trail. Who changed what? Who passed the accounting entry? Who edited the accounting entry? Who was the initiated the accounting entry? Who approved the accounting entry? Maker, checker, and each and every detail is available in that particular trail. So you can verify who are involved in this particular accounting entry, in this change or whatever it is. Okay. So you have a trail available from creation to edit to deletion, everything. Okay. Even to, transfer the entries or balances from general ledger, sub ledger to general ledger. Now, when these type of trails are there, first thing I need to have is I can only have a trail. I can only have, details available when I have segregated users and their access. So I need access controls behind that. First of all, access control. That is, each user has a unique user ID. And those user IDs are not shared. So that I can identify which user accessed what, which user edited what. Number 2, program change or application level control. That means, what if someone has an access to turn off the audit trail? Means whatever changes being made, they are not recorded. Someone goes into the program and turns it off. So who has that program change control? Is there any authorization for that? So people should not be able to turn this off, first of all. Number 2, if there is an application level control, means they are not turning off, but they are making some configurational changes. For example, earlier in the edit log, the time was recorded. Now time is being not recorded when the change was made. So who has that configurational change access? Then I need to have backup of trail. Tomorrow if data goes, then what? I need to have a backup of the trail available for me. Not only the backup of the data, but the audit trail. Okay. And the access to the backup should be restricted. Even the access to the audit trail should be restricted, but access to the backup should be restricted or should be only read only. Not the edit feature should be available for the trail. So trail cannot be edited. Okay. So restricted access to trail. If you maintain these controls, fine, these are sufficient. So if you go to answer also, see, in order to demonstrate the audit trail feature was functional, operated, and was not disabled, a company would have to design and implement specific internal controls, predominantly IT controls. And the illustrative list is controls to ensure that the feature has not been disabled, controls to ensure that the user ID are assigned to each individual, controls to ensure that the change to the configuration of the audit trail are authorized, controls to ensure that the access to the audit trail and backup is disabled or restrictive, controls to ensure that the periodic backup of the audit trails are taken and archived as per the statutory period. So that's it. That's the answer. Clear with this, guys? Any doubt you guys have? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. See how you need to prepare for the exam. I'll take some time to discuss this particular area. Go chapter. If you have not read the chapter, please do. First thing is the read the chapter. Number two, once you read the chapter, try to solve the questions of that chapter. The more you will practice, the more you will understand a particular topic. Now, there could be a scenario that, okay, 2 days, 3 days, 1 month down the line, you have some doubts. That could be there. Not an issue. You drop your email or, you post your doubt to the board of studies. They will definitely answer to it. Trust me. So don't keep your doubts with yourself. The moment you have a doubt, ask it. Number 3, reading, practice with the doubts. And the third part is very, very important. Time controlled mock test. Because in, what happens is you may practice 10 different questions. Perfectly fine. You may take up half an hour to solve one question. Initially, okay, that's good. That's not a problem. But in exam, it's a problem. Time-bound mock test will help you to write the answer in exam. See, I have to write the answer within the given time frame. So I have a limited time in exam. Okay. I cannot think and write. I have taken 15 minutes to think and answer, and then I'm writing an answer. It will take a lot of time. You may not be able to complete your paper on time in that way. So writing an answer is is something different, and writing an answer within the given time frame is something different. I can take half an hour or 1 hour and I can write a beautiful answer. But if I have to write that answer within 10 minutes, that is the practice I need. That quality I need to maintain in those 10 minutes. So the time-bound mock test will really help you. So try to attend those mock tests. Okay. So if you do these 3 things, trust me, this subject is not that much difficult. This subject is not something to, mug up or, just read and, requires a rectification or something like that. Not at all. This subject is about understanding logically. If you understand the logic, it will be easy for you to, just learn them or even answer the question. Just understand the logic. Okay. So, yeah. So if no further doubts, then I propose to keep the session till here, guys. This was the last session that was there for the paper 3. Okay, till now. I'm not sure about the further sessions, but I wish you all the best for your preparation and exams. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Hmm.
Thank you, sir. You make audit easy for us.
Thank you very much. So that was the target that I had, that I need to make this subject very simple.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for participating throughout the sessions. Thank you very much. Prepare well and do reach out to a board of studies if you have any doubt. Okay.
Yes, sure, sir.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I'll see you whenever the next session or something will be arranged. Thank you. Till that time, take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Session over, sir.